Hello and welcome to episode 32 of the Cutie Art Crusaders for February 5th, 2013. You interrupted me halfway through that intro, didn't you? I don't care! We're continuing!
You just kind of started talking at the same time that I did. So
No. We're going to keep going with this because that's how we do it here at Professionalville. All right, so thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the podcast.
Do you plan on going there at some stage, Joe?
We're professional. We're professional at this work. So welcome to the podcast. Thank you guys for coming back. Last week was a lot of fun. We had Cosmic Unicorn on. She was very, very informative, and we thought
super awesome.
Was she? I couldn't hear a lot.
Yes. What?
Aw. Because of your poor internets.
Yeah, you had the robot voice last week. We'll talk about that and your new microphone in just a second. But before we start, I'd like to introduce ourselves. So, my name is Rainbow Plasma. I'm the organizer and editor of this podcast, and today I'm joined by...
Burn to One, and the special guest coordinator, and sometimes the guy who shoves the videos together.
Like this week.
Yeah, like this week.
Nice. I'm FlutterGuy317, and I'm the art coordinator.
And I'm Pinky Dash. I do questions, etc.
So, Pinky Dash actually has a new microphone this week, which is glorious.
Yay.
Because...
Yay.
Fun little fact, we could hear him in Skype perfectly fine, but you were getting a lot of electrical interference and background noise and a bunch of different stuff.
His voice sounded like crap.
In your actual recordings. Right.
That's why I always sounded like a 14-year-old boy.
No.
It sounded like Sweetie Bot, to be honest.
It sounded like you were like in a fishbowl with like a paper towel roll, like talking through that. It was bad.
And the best part is
what kind of invention are you making?
his mic used to spike random intervals, and like you've probably heard it if you listen to our episodes where he'd just be talking and be like, "Mrrr," just a super loud, obnoxious hum in the background.
I'm sorry, how did I sound?
Awful. That's how you sounded. But
it's not what I was hoping
even
for.
like, I think 3 episodes ago, like I had to splice your audio in, whereas like you would talk and there'd be that horrible hum in the background. So randomly when you like chime in, it's like,
yeah, it's bad.
It was bad.
Or should we say it was bad? Because hopefully this week, I don't know. For all I know, Pinky Dash could send it to Burned, and he'd be like, "No, it's still awful.
It's even worse.
It's just Australia." But hopefully that's fixed now.
Perhaps it was just me making those noises. You're just like sitting there going, "It's
a talent.
You've got a guy playing a didgeridoo in the background or something.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens a lot. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I love Australian jokes.
So anyways, hopefully that audio should be better. And that's one half of the problem solved. The other half is you need to talk more about whatever. That's a story for
Well,
another
fine
day.
then. I'll just like be quiet now.
Cool.
I just won't talk. Bye.
I think you should just
enjoy the recording.
Run the podcast.
I've hurt his feelings again. Go hug a koala. You'll feel better.
I'll hug my plushie.
Yeah.
What did we say? The next thing has to be wombat, okay? Wombat.
Wombats?
There we go.
Right. Go hug a wombat.
Have we ever joked about platypuses
Oh,
on the
yeah,
show?
probably.
Those live in Australia, don't they?
Probably once.
So 3 minutes into this podcast, and we've gotten nowhere. It's about typical, I think. We're actually making good time. So this week, we've actually got something really special for you guys that we kind of threw together kind of last minute. We didn't have a theme for this week that we announced, and that's because we have a very special guest this week, someone that we're very excited to have on the podcast for more than one reason. So, Bern, do you want to introduce her?
I would love to. This week on the podcast, we have a lovely artist who's actually made us some of the most amazing fan art ever, and is also one of the most amazing artists ever. Yeah. This week on the podcast, we have InuHoshi to DarkPen. Go ahead and say hi.
Hello. Hi.
Hi there.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us on the show. It's awesome to have you here. We appreciate it, especially on such short notice. I think I just sent you a message this week. So.
And I'm really, really happy to be here, guys, and talk to you.
Oh, that's great. That's very
I'm
nice.
just giggle here like a little schoolgirl. Because I really can't believe I'm here.
Well, it's a pleasure.
That's crazy. We're literally just 4 idiots who have a show.
Oh,
That's right. We can't believe we're here either.
don't say that.
We are really honored to have you on. Your art is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so now that we've gotten through our customary gush session where we both like kiss each other's feet, I just wanted to explain to people who probably don't know about you just a little bit about how you're connected to the podcast and things like that. So we had a fan art episode back on January 1st, and
Wait, did we really?
that joke is so
You're saying
old
people have-
that it's died.
You're saying people haven't heard of that?
You're beating a dead horse. Okay.
A pony. Or
No,
ponies.
no, don't say pony. No.
What, so we can beat horses because no one likes
Yeah.
them, but when it's ponies, everyone's like, oh,
Absolutely. Yep.
Right, sorry.
Anyway, so we had a couple of fan art episodes.
Brony no-go there.
And one of the most fantastic pieces that we got in was something by the name of Quest for Cutie Arts by none other than our guest here. And it's personally one of my favorite pieces. It's my computer background, and this is one of the pieces that got on EQD. And I think this was the piece where we kind of looked at our fan art. This was the first like huge one that we got, and we went, "Holy cow! What have we gotten ourselves into here?" because getting a couple pieces of fan art is one thing, but then like after this piece, it just rolled in like crazy. And
then after this piece, we had enough content to make 2 episodes.
Yeah, it was just crazy.
Yeah.
So
and I mean, I personally have been a big fan of you, InuHoshi, before seeing this piece, and then when we got this piece, it was just like, what?
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
Well, I'm really glad that you made this piece actually, because I'd never actually heard of you before. I'd seen there was actually one piece that I wanted to bring up as well because it has to do with Pinky Dash, but I saw one of your pieces, Colorless Rainbow, that Pinky Dash.
Yeah.
Pinky Dash, you vectored it, right?
I did.
Yeah, so you did a vector version of that, but I'd seen that a while ago, but I hadn't actually. That was back when I wasn't really into. That was like way before, like right when it was just put out in July. So I wasn't really like into following a lot of artists. I was just doing my vector work. So I didn't notice that you were the artist. And looking back on it now, it's just like top notch. So I'm glad you sent in that. I'm glad you sent in the fan art because it's like I get to go back and look at tons of amazing pony pieces.
Well, it was really fun to make that fan art. I really loved making it. Probably that's the only drawing guy working on like crazy, more than, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 hours. I did in more than around 4 or 5 days.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Sheesh.
How long
And
is
Well, that's beautiful.
Yes.
And it was a great experience. I tried out a lot of new things I never did before, so it was really great.
No,
It all
that's
worked out
wonderful.
amazingly.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's because we're in it, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
We're so biased, it's ridiculous.
I mean, just look at those wings. Like, how could you not love those?
Yeah, right. Well, since we're talking about things that
Should we just get all of like the schmoozy stuff out of the way first?
Yeah. Well,
Hold on.
No, go
Hold
ahead.
on. We have a custom for guests on the show that we just kind of forewent.
I tried to sneak around it.
I know. Do you want to do it or?
Go ahead.
Okay. So InuHoshi, we have this tradition with having guests on, which is basically when we introduce the guest, to kind of give a little introduction of like what you do, a little bit about yourself for anyone who doesn't know who you are or who hasn't seen your art yet.
Well, at the moment, I'm in college learning animation, and the truth is, I would like to say I do pony art because for artistic things, but in truth, I do it because I really love drawing ponies. So, I don't feel myself an artist. Even if I spent 5 years in an art school, I don't feel myself as an artist. I just love drawing, that's all.
That's fair enough.
I think a lot of us artists do it for the same reason. It's for the ponies.
It's for the fun of
Just
it.
for the pony.
To
Just
do
for the
anything, you
pony.
have to be passionate about it. I mean, if you love drawing ponies, it's kind of like a self-pronounced artist. It's like you can be an artist without having to say that you're an artist just because you can draw beautiful ponies. There's a lot of people who are really jealous of your ability to draw pretty ponies. And I myself
I'm jealous.
am included, in which I could draw ponies as beautifully as you could.
They are very
You
pretty
are far
ponies.
better artists than I.
Yeah, it just happened like it happened normally for other shows. If I like it, I did a fan art for it, and it became really huge. And this is why I made the second account. And here I am, nothing big. Probably
Making
a
beautiful
lot of
ponies.
yes, probably a lot of my other watchers who watch me on the other accent are shouting, why I'm doing ponies. I shouldn't do them. Why? But I always been. I don't draw if I don't like it. So if I like drawing ponies, I draw ponies. And maybe 1 year later I'm going to do something other. Maybe I'm going to draw dinosaurs, I don't know, in the future.
Well, talking a little bit more about your adorable ponies, as far as your art style goes and the ponies that you draw, you have a very unique style about the ponies you draw. I mean,
They're so fuzzy.
They look... Yes, that is one of the most notable parts, is they're extraordinarily fuzzy and like every little hinge on their body. And they're also quite horsey. They look a little bit more realistic than your average pony. Because the ponies in the show, they're just like worms with legs. But there's actually like fluffiness and volume, and like you show the collarbones and stuff in the horses. Like, how did you develop that style? Is it just something you've always been doing, or something you like?
Well, it's kind of always been there. I always been adding a little bit realistic to my drawings. Probably because of the artist I watched over DeviantArt. If I like it something, I add it to my drawing, and it just turned out like that. And with ponies, I always been trying to make them cartoonish, but some way horse-like, because I think we can all agree that our ponies not look so much like ponies.
I'm glad, to be honest with you. I just watched a show on horses today, and it was just like,
Horses scare me.
maybe not.
I was Plasma, I was gonna send you a photo of a horse today or yesterday.
Please don't. I'm not a huge fan.
There was horses where I was working, so I was gonna take a photo and send you one.
Man, random awkward story. What is it? Someone saw my brony belt. I forget what the girl's name was, but I think I was working, and she's like, "Oh, you like ponies?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, totally." She's like, "Oh, I love horses. I go horse riding all the time." And I was like, "Eee."
So not the same thing.
Oh man, that was a fun conversation. Anyway,
So InuHoshi,
Cool story,
how
bro.
long have you been drawing for? Have you just been drawing your entire life? Because now you're going to college for animation, which obviously has a lot of artistic background in it. But have you just been drawing your entire life?
Ever since I know myself, I've been drawing like crazy every day. Even if it's been just a line or cycle, I draw every day. And even today, if I can draw just a sketch, even if it's just a sketch, I can draw it. I kind of go depressed. It feels like something's missing. Even if I have just an art block, and that is why I can draw, I just felt something not wrong, and so it's kind of always been a part of me. In fact, the reason is I go to art school and animation college because I really love drawing. It's always been such a big part of my life, so I can't think. I'm just babbling, sorry.
no, that's fine.
That's fine.
It feels like if I can draw, if I just can pick up a pencil and just draw, it's not me. It's not me. It really is a big part of me. If you take away drawing, that I'm going to fall apart. So
That's a
Yeah,
that's a
I know
great
what
way
you
of
mean.
putting it. That's a fantastic way of putting it, and I think that's a tremendous reason to pick a career. I personally believe that there are two different types of people in the world, and neither one of them is right or wrong. But there are people who use jobs to obtain money and use money to fund hobbies, which they are passionate about, and then there's people who create passion within their own work and use passion within their work, and obviously they probably won't make as much money, but they find that enjoyment in their job. And I'm personally of the second category. And so I love it when I see people who are really passionate about what they do and turning that into a career, whether that be drawing or video making or music or whatever. It's really exciting for me. So I love hearing that, especially from someone as talented as yourself.
I'm sure there's a high chance that I'm not going to do art as my career in the future. It's mostly because in Hungary animation doesn't have a big place. So there's two chances. One, I go outside abroad, maybe in America or even in just a neighbor country, and I try to work there, or I keep it as just a hobby.
How about Australia?
Speaking of places of origin, a little off note, it's something that's just super awesome, is yourself included. Like, there's so many people who are fans of our show from all over the world. Like, you're in Hungary, and then we have people from Finland and all over the entire world who are bronies making us fan art, watching our show. So, like, I don't know. It's crazy to think that you're all the way in Hungary, yet you make this amazing pony art, and you're somehow enjoy watching our show. And
Through the magic of the internet.
I'm constantly like in awe that's like, there's this person all the way in Hungary who made this amazing fan art piece of our ponies. I don't know.
Yeah. It's weird.
Still something I'm wrapping my head around.
It's mostly because I always moved around in English-speaking community on the internet, so probably that is why. Because I saw some Hungarian artists, but they not really outgoing so not really communicate with other countries. They try to be, let's say, famous in Hungary. So, but I take up the word challenge.
Yeah. So you're from Hungary, and you were born in Hungary, correct?
Yes.
So do you have any difficulties within, say, like, I would say that the brony community is very, as much as, a lot of the internet is very English-centric. Do you find any difficulties there?
Well, not really. Thanks to almost 10 years of learning English language, so it's not a problem at all. It's always been somewhat English. Always been a part of my life. I grew up watching English cartoons in English, so it isn't a problem at all.
That's
maybe
good.
this is just talking. This is the first time I talk so long in English, and it's strange. I'm usually just writing and not talking because I think my spelling is really wrong.
You're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, especially for being self-taught.
Thank you. And if I mix UK English and US English, is because of that, because of how I learned English. So don't be surprised.
Oh no, it's really fine.
Well, we have Canadian and Australian English in here
As
too.
long as
so.
if you just like go off on a tangent and start speaking Hungarian, I might not follow, but.
All right, so let's get back to the art. Actually, something that I wanted to talk about was your style of wings, especially in like our fan art piece, and also you did a follow-up piece with Burns OC.
Oh my god.
Which had these fantastic wings. How did you come up with like basically their shape and how you wanted to do them? Was it just yeah, I mean it kind of also ties into your colorless rainbow, because I think it's kind of the same thing. But yeah.
Well, to tell you the truth, it just happened. I'm somehow looking at real wings of birds, and how the show drew wings, and somehow combined the two. So I can't really tell how it happened. It just somehow happened. And yeah, I don't know what to say. It just happened.
Well, it's like
Oh my gosh, I love that piece. It's so amazing. Holy crap. I remember I was like doing homework or something from the show, and I hadn't noticed that you made it. And then like Pinky Dash or someone or Random Plasma comes up and is like, holy crap, Bern, I'm super jealous of this thing that InuHoshi just made you. I'm like, what thing? And like, what, you haven't seen it?
Yeah.
And it's it's my background right now, and I like, maybe I'm just full of myself, but I can't help but look at it and just be like, oh my god, it's so amazing.
It is very manly.
Yes. Friggin' watch out, man.
That was the worst threat I've ever heard.
I totally spaced the name Dusty Cat. How did I not remember that?
There
I was
you
all
go.
like, watch out, and then I was like, Dos Equis? Wait, that's not right.
Watch out, Dos Equis.
No, that's why I didn't say it. Dusty Cat.
You're the
I
manliest
swear I
beer
know
now.
your name. Yeah, watch out for my wings. They're coming for your mustache.
No, your style of wings is really cool. It's like a combination of like bat wings with the structure, bird wings with all the feathers, and obviously like the feathers even kind of look like the show because they're like rounded. So it's a really cool style, and they look great.
Yeah, my hair. Sorry. What you were saying?
We're gonna have to move away from this burn piece into another example because otherwise I'm just gonna be staring into it for an hour.
Look at my tail. So fuzzy. Look at my ears. They've never been so fuzzy.
Are you just gonna go through all of your different body parts? No.
Yeah, we got. I'm gonna close this. Or I'm not gonna stop talking about it. No, I love it. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me.
I'm happy that you love it. The truth is, I really love drawing wings. That's one of the things I really love drawing about ponies. And probably that is why I draw more Pegasi than any other.
This is a question we don't usually ask, but I have to ask you: who is your favorite pony?
Well, it's Fluttershy.
Ooh.
I would have guessed that. I seriously not would have guessed that.
Oh, so you're wrong. Electroshock is
She's so much like me, so I kind of fell for her. I also got really shy and introvert. It's really hard for me to talk to people, even to my friends. And I'm also a big animal lover. So
well, thanks for talking to us.
Well, you're doing well here.
Yeah.
I really try.
So let's talk a little bit more about just some of your examples, some fantastic examples. There's one in particular that I wanted to bring up because it was a piece that we would have loved to feature if you brought it out just like a couple days earlier.
Oh, yeah.
There was your Christmas piece. And also, you did two pieces that we'll mention. But let me just quickly go over them. So there was your Christmas piece that you did, Merry Christmas 2012, which was just absolutely spectacular. It's got the main six doing their own things in a Christmas sleigh with Spike trailing behind, obviously the Pegasi flying it, and it's got a great atmosphere to it, and it's got really amazing, like a snowy border and background and everything. And you released it, I swear, like 2 days after we recorded the episode. And we all looked at that and we were like, no!
There was a collective sigh from us.
Yeah, I finished that in the last minute, so I couldn't do it. I almost didn't finish that piece. I had to speed up, even if I feel like I had to really fast, so there's tons of things on it I would do differently now. If I had more time, but I didn't have, so, well. But I'm happy you think it's a good piece.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
I love
my favorite. Go ahead.
I love Fluttershy's nose.
Yeah, I think it's funny. She's the leader, but just Fluttershy. Rainbow Dash is like, you got it this time. I'll let you have it this time. But my antlers are way huger than yours.
See, look, antlers, horns, it's all the same thing.
You're still going on about that horn thing.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know what you're talking about. I know that. I remember.
Darn it, this is why we can't have fans on the show. Because they get the references.
Oh my goodness. Fan art now.
I always thought that the unicorns horns are really, really small, so always draw the unicorn's horn bigger because I always felt that they are small in the show. Even the wings of the Pegasi, I always felt they are short. This is why I draw huge wings.
I love it. It's got like very like
majestic.
overpowering feel to it and like powerful. It's great.
Yeah.
Power ponies.
Power ponies.
Like Chuck Norris wings and ponies.
Norris. Welcome to the internet.
Fan art. Someone make fan art of ponies huffing Total Gems and people. I need this.
Huffing what?
This will make my day.
Huffing what?
Total Gems.
Wait, huffing. Did I miss what?
I'm
Huffing what?
Total Gems. Have you ever seen that commercial?
No.
Total
No.
Gyms?
Yeah.
What?
Chuck Norris has a Total Gym commercial. It's an infomercial. It's played all the time in the U.S.
I don't know what what is a total gym? Is
You're
it like
talking-
Half Chuck Norris.
somebody-
You're
being
talking
like-
to 4 people from 4 different countries.
It's
Why
a
would
Chuck
we-
Norris joke. Don't judge
Why
me.
would we see your commercial?
It's on YouTube. It's everywhere.
That's like
It's
me being
Chuck
like, hey,
Norris.
did you see
That's
that
the
Tim
only-
Hortons commercial, eh?
That's like the one thing Chuck Norris has ever endorsed is Total Gym. And then he's like the Oprah of Total Gyms. It's like this big metal.
I think he
metal
endorses being about.
You can't say that.
He's just like Oprah, friggin' Total Gyms for everyone. Just starts like huffing him, roundhouse kicking him in the crowd. It's like you gotta watch it. It's YouTube. Just make it happen.
No.
Moving on.
Moving on. I like that piece. Okay. Does anybody else have a piece that they want to bring up?
Did we bring out the one about me?
Shut
up. I know Pinky.
Colorless Rainbow because I
Well, we already
Yeah.
did that one.
No. I mean, I think we should bring it up some more. I was gonna bring that up again, actually.
Fine.
Go for it.
Sweet.
Do it.
I'm okay with
Yeah.
this.
Do it.
Okay. I really like this piece, and apparently so does Pinky Dash because he vectored it.
It's so odd. It's so odd. But,
It's such an
fun.
interesting concept, like the whole desaturation and just the dripping colors and stuff. I mean, I don't know anyone else who would have thought of something like that, but it's really phenomenally done.
well, I have to say, this idea just popped it into my head. I don't know where it came from, so I just had this image in my head about rainbow losing color, dripping down like a paint, and it happened.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, there's art pieces. There's art pieces that are well done, and you can tell that somebody is very good with a lot of concepts, and at least their line art's fantastic. So they've got cute faces or whatever. But then there's pieces like this where, like, it's got a fantastic idea behind it. So it's not just like, occasionally, and a lot of artists do this, and there's nothing wrong with this, but there's just, pieces out there that are just random. Something pops in your head, and you're just like, let's draw Fluttershy with a hood. And it's like, hey, but like this one is really fantastic because it's so much deeper than just, oh, look at this pretty art piece, And it
Totally do that.
and it, I don't know. I just think it's got like a really cool concept behind it. And you don't see a lot of cool concepts. You see a lot of cool art, but you don't see a lot of cool concepts. And I think that's really awesome.
Oh,
It's also
thank you.
the style in it is really unique. Like it's got really thick black outlines, and then with like the desaturated color, and then like the proportion, everything, like how she looks is a very unique style. Like it's not like show accurate pony. It's like your style of pony, and it's done in a really cool way. Like the eyes are really cool. Everything's extraordinarily fuzzy, making it awesome.
The fuzzy.
So fuzzy.
So fuzzy. Everyone says my ponies are fuzzy, and it's so strange. I just added fuzz to them because, well, originally I drew canines, dogs, and they all were fuzzy and furry, and I kind of miss it that with ponies. This is why I'd add a little fuzz to them.
Yeah. No, they definitely have kind of a little doggy feel, like a little fluffy, like
I
a
know.
wolfy feel, kind of like a wolfish.
Yes.
It's nice though. It makes it cute. Makes
Yeah.
it different.
Yeah, but I know. I remember when you guys said it on the Planet episode, and I was so face palming myself. But again, because the truth is, I really love it drawing dogs, and I still love drawing them. And because of this, there's sometimes when my other animals end up look like dogs, and I don't know why. And when a lot of people say my ponies look like dogs, I said, really? No, not again. And I thought maybe they just saw my other accent. This is why they say that. But when you guys said that,
Well, it's
I
like
know it came back.
it's like the muzzle, like the nose, and then the fuzziness on the side of the cheeks too. But
Yeah.
you manage to warp it into a way to where it makes the ponies really cute, and it makes a unique style. And like it resembles it, but they don't all look like dogs.
No, I
They're
would
just-
actually,
they're kind of
yeah,
fuzzy.
I would say that, like, what we were trying to say there, we weren't saying that they looked like dogs. It was just there were some features in them that made them look a little bit more, they looked more canine. They didn't look like a dog at all. I don't think that they look like dogs. But I think that there's a lot of similarities, because if you look like a real life horse versus a real life dog, there's not a lot of similarities there. But when you look at like a pony from My Little Pony, their muzzle isn't their entire face unless they're like male.
Whoa. You watch My Little Pony.
Newsflash.
Even lift.
No, but if you look at the muzzle for mares, you've got that much more dog-like where
Tiny nose.
it breaks down and then it goes out,
Mhm.
And I think that's just naturally very canine looking. And so when you when you add the detail to it, like obviously when you're drawing it 2D like in a vector, it'll just come out looking like the show. But when you add the depth to it, I think it's just natural to come out looking a little bit more canine, because the ponies from the show set themselves up to look like canines. But I don't want you taking it away from it that we think they look like dogs, because they absolutely don't. I just thought that, like, compared to other pieces of pony fan art, they just look a little. And I think you shouldn't think of that as a negative thing, because it creates this fantastic style, and I would not want it any other way for sure.
Agreed.
Okay. Okay.
You also did a piece where you drew Applejack as a dog. So I
Yeah.
put that in there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's just really funny because you did all of the main 6 and like their respective like animals, and I just thought it was really funny because like Rainbow Dash is a cheetah, right?
Yes.
Yes,
She's a
because
cheetah.
she's fast to get it.
That's like
And Applejack's a dog.
Why is Pinky a mouse?
She's a
She look-
squirrel.
Yeah,
Squirrel.
A squirrel.
squirrel. I can tell because fluffy tail.
that makes
Yeah.
a
Oh,
lot
see,
of sense.
we don't have squirrels here, so
You don't
Oh.
have squirrels in
yeah.
Australia?
It's
no, we don't have squirrels in Australia. So
a miniature
my first thought
koala.
wasn't.
It's a miniature koala. What did I say?
with
Wombat.
the fluffy tail.
It's not
Sorry.
wombat.
Wombats look like bricks with legs, though. They're
We're
weird.
moving to wombats. Oh,
New catchphrase? Moving to wombat?
moving to wombats.
How about moving to other pieces of art?
Hey!
Hey!
Moving like a cow.
Oh, shut up.
Oh.
that was awful.
That was bad.
And
So,
you get out of my
You're awful.
Sorry, can I?
Oh.
Can we?
Yes.
Show go,
My
right? Yeah,
feelings.
recording. Right. Oh.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you a little bit because you actually tried doing vector art, which is hilarious to all of us because we're all vector artists and we're all trying to reach up to you. And then you're like, I'm going to try vector art. It's like, why? Why? You're already so amazing. Why would you want to downgrade
Why would you want to
yourself?
make us look bad at this too?
Oh,
Your vector art's really good.
Yes.
Thank you. It just happened. I saw all the amazing vector arts, and I just wanted to try out because there are lots of ponies who don't have that much vector art, like Blossom Force. That was the first one I did, and if someone else don't do it, I will do it. So it just happened.
I'm just gonna try this out and make an amazing vector that like I don't even have a critique for.
Yeah, but it's so hard. So I'm really you guys are great because it's so hard for me. It's probably sounds strange for you, but for someone who always do everything by hand and then using the mouse and dots and everything, it's so strange and it was so hard, and it's still hard. It's really hard. It's really difficult. It's hard and
It's definitely a different way of thinking, but you did well.
Yeah. See, for us, yeah, it's weird because when we try and do like more well, Silver would hate me for saying traditional, but more classical medium art, like
It's traditional.
yeah, okay, digital painting and stuff like that. It's tough for us because we're used to working with the nodes and being able to go back and change things around and stuff like that. And I know Rainbow Plasma's been working on trying to, or he was working on trying to do some tablet drawing.
Yeah, forget that crap.
But yeah, it's
So you wised up.
it's I think it really depends on what you learned in and you know what you started in, and I guess for you it's doing this digital drawing and sketching and stuff like that, it comes naturally. Whereas for us it's a little bit difficult.
It's the opposite, I think vectoring, well, at least for me, vectoring came very, very naturally to me. I picked it up like almost immediately. So, I mean, maybe it's just a different mindset. Some people, previously, probably everybody thought the same way when they were in, middle school, high school. They're either like, you can either make art or you can't. And that's not true. But I think the whole thing with vector art is it opens up another option, which is, currently you can make digital art, or you can make traditional art, or you can make vector art, or you can look at pretty art. So I just think vectoring kind of opens up another opportunity for people who normally weren't able to kind of master that.
It definitely does, because just like how we call art a skill and it's a practice, we call vectoring is very much a practice and it's a skill. It's something that takes time to learn and get in the mindset of. So like if you put enough time and effort behind learning how to make a good vector, you can become an amazing vector artist. But then as you have mastered all of the steps and tricks to making a perfect vector and tracing something, branching off into making something unique that's yours, that's another step where you start stepping into like the artist realm. But I mean, if you understand your medium, the world is your pony. I don't know.
The world is your
The
pony.
world is your pony.
The world is your pony.
Oh man, oh man, oh man.
Burned to 1, 2013.
That should be a thing.
Oh, man.
Yeah. By the way, about vectors, I don't know you guys how do you reacted, but I made but didn't upload one more worked out vector similar to one that Pinky Dash and Rainbow Plasma made. With one of my older art that I never posted, I vectored and shaded it in Inkscape and.
Oh,
really?
okay. So it was like a much more complex kind of vector piece.
Yeah.
I want to see
Yes.
Now I want to see
Yeah.
it. Now I want to see
You
it.
can't just drop that bomb and not show it to us.
Can we show it on the
I want to
show?
see it.
Yes, I could. Yeah, I don't know why I'm sitting on it. Seriously, but I will upload it tomorrow. So
Fantastic.
watch out for it.
Great.
All right, please do, because that would be really great.
Yeah, we'd love to see it.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I mean, even things like that, we've always been a huge advocate of works in progresses, and I want to talk to you a little bit about something that you've started doing semi-recently, which is you've started doing kind of speed painting videos, and I thought that was really interesting, and that we should go into that a little bit, because we're seeing more and more artists that watch us do this, and I cannot.
I have to ask though, was it because of our episode of where we're like, you should speed paint? Was it because of that, or or have you always had speed painting videos?
Well, it's yes and no.
Oh.
At the same time, because I did spin paint years ago too, but rarely. So, but I started to do more of them often because of you guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
Burned endurance.
And I also love watching paint, so yeah. So I just don't do that much because I don't know. It's just my art program that I'm using is acting so funny when I'm recording. So this is why I'm not recording all of my art, just a few of them.
Well, it's still nice to see some examples. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to. Have every single example there or every single time. But I think it's really cool to have at least. I feel like it should be an aspect that every single artist should try to do at least once. Kind of have that process once or twice. That'd be really cool. And I mean, I would love to because I love watching speed painting and stuff like that. So I had a lot of fun watching 3D stuff.
And it's
Yeah,
like we
it's
said
fun.
before, it's nice if you're an artist that's learning too, and you're learning your method, because then we can go in and look at it and be like, that's wrong, that's terrible. We can tell you how to fix it. Make it good. No, I'm joking, but still.
When he says we, he completely does not mean us because we don't know
We
crap
means
about
anyone
it.
who would like to critique your art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do it because it's positive, not because it's negative. Come on now.
Okay. Yeah.
Or
sure.
you.
No, I'm just joking.
I think, I mean, I know at least personally, I enjoy watching speed paints because it helps me as an artist. Like I know that there's a bunch of tutorials out there for vector art and for regular art and stuff like that, but sometimes just watching another artist doing their art is really helpful. So
Even as like a motivation,
Yeah.
You can do it, so can I.
And then you try
Yeah.
and immediately crash and burn.
I'm just like Hermes. I'm just like Hermes.
yes.
Yeah, it's really fun to watch something from wallpaper turning into something really amazing. I always love about that speed paint episode. Yeah.
Yeah, it all kind of comes together suddenly. You have all these sketches, and then the coloring starts happening, and all of a sudden, bam, you got like this fantastic piece of art. and it's just it comes out of nowhere, and that's not just because it's sped up, but also just that's how art works a lot of the times. You make something and you look at it and you go, oh, that's not so great, and then at some point it just kind of clicks.
Yeah, it happens for me a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
I do the sketch. It's okay. I drew the line art. It's horrible. I finished it. Wow, this is my best piece.
So what is your basically your process? Is it sketch and then line art and then you kind of color in over that?
Well, first I do what I call raw sketch, which is just scribbles, circles, and lines, and then I do what I call clean sketch, which I simply just drew over it again, and then I do the line art, then the coloring and the shading and the background, so on, so on.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
What programs do you use?
GIMP, it's a free art program.
Really now?
That's awesome.
Well, that is okay. Burned. She's not vectoring in GIMP. Come on, but no, that's really interesting because Burned was saying because we get a lot of people who attempt to vector in GIMP. And
Not just that. I just dislike GIMP.
No, shut
No
up.
offense
That's
to
because
GIMP
you don't know
users.
how to use it.
Yeah.
No offense to anybody who uses GIMP, but you're wrong and I hate you.
Wow.
I'm just joking.
I use GIMP.
I use GIMP all the time.
yeah,
I used it for my sketches and stuff.
both feel bad.
Wow.
No,
Okay.
I'm joking.
I think
I
it's
honestly
really
have
interesting.
never used GIMP before, so I don't know why I just like it.
I've also never used it.
I find, yeah.
I don't know. We have to download it for school. I don't know, maybe
Oh, okay.
4 years ago. And at that time, the only digital program I used was. You are going to be surprised, but it was Paint.
Really?
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And I thought, why shouldn't I try to work on it with my regular drawings? And I was, wow, layers.
Oh yeah.
Brushes.
Layers.
Oh,
Oh
God.
my goodness.
So I stick to it.
Oh yeah.
That's
For today.
great. I think
And
I've
I-
seen maybe like 2 or 3 other pony artists who actually use GIMP. So it's not that common, but it's pretty awesome that you're using it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's a good program. It's simpler than like Photoshop or other art programs, but I think it's a really good program, and I kind of understand that a lot of people look down on it because
It's
I don't know, because it's free. I don't know.
no, it's way better than Paint. Like that's how I look at it. It's way better.
Way
than Paint.
better.
No, for a free image editing program, it's very good for a free editing program. I mean, there's always
Bern,
sigh,
you're
but-
just trying to save yourself now, aren't you?
a little bit.
Look, okay, none of us are giving you any hands out of the hole you dug. You're just gonna sit down there and think about what you said, all right?
I'm a Photoshop fanboy. What can I say?
Yeah, you are. It took you ages to get off Photoshop for vectoring.
Yeah.
It was really hard
Yeah,
to
me
do. Well, it's also really hard to switch programs once you've really gotten into one, because you can just do everything faster in the one program. It's not necessarily because the program is better, but it's just because you're used to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I can switch to another program now. I've been using it for so long. I don't think. I tried out Photoshop once or twice in school, but it didn't work it for me.
I could always teach you.
Oh.
No, I mean that seriously. I teach Photoshop. I help my teacher teach Photoshop at college. So that's why I love Photoshop so much, and I still love Photoshop because I teach it, so I know how to use it. Right for me.
Well, I think personally, she doesn't need to do anything different.
Yeah.
If she's making these pieces in GIMP, then to keep
Think
going.
about how amazing her art could be.
No,
in
just
Photoshop.
keep going. Just
No,
keep
no,
going.
Just
I'm actually I don't think I've seen any of your speed traces or your speed paints yet, but I'd be really interested in watching them.
I as well, yeah.
Because I would love to start doing some painting or digital painting in GIMP because I'm not gonna buy Photoshop. Sorry, Bern.
Well, just to do a tiny little plug here, but if people want to check this out, and we'll also talk about this near the end of the episode, but the channel where you post all your speed paints is youtube.com/xbrony. And so that's where you can go and check out her speed paints. She's got a couple of them up, and I think I think people just need to look at speed paints more often because they're really good motivators and they're really good way to look into the process of how someone makes something. And that's how I actually knew that you were using GIMP before because I'd watched those. But I think that's really fascinating because everybody always looks down on GIMP, but it really proves that it's not the tools that you use, it's who's wielding the tools and how well that they use them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
I could pick up Photoshop right now and it doesn't matter because I don't know those tools and I can't handle those tools. Whereas if you need to use GIMP in order to work things to the best of your ability, I say absolutely go for it. Especially because Photoshop stuff can sometimes start looking the same too. There's a notable Photoshop style that's out there from using like default brushes and stuff. So it's good to see some variation.
Default. Okay, I was about to be like.
Yeah, I was
Default
totally
brushes,
going to disagree with you on that one.
There's a notable style out there where people use default brushes that you can tell that it's in Photoshop. A lot of the times, with a lot of the artists that we feature and a lot of the artists that we interview, you have to kind of guess. You guess Photoshop because it's the most common one, but you don't guess it because you're like, oh, that looks like something from Photoshop. Whereas there are some pieces that you look at and you go, that looks like it's from Photoshop.
It's the style of the brush. Like a hard round and a soft round are really common in Photoshop.
Right. And so all I'm saying is it's not bad. I'm just saying that it's interesting to see things that are different. I love seeing a variety of different things, and I think it's amazing that we've got people using GIMP, and we've got people using Psy, and we've got people using Photoshop and all these different tools.
We like different. We like variety.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, speaking of going back to a little bit more to traditional art, did we mention the sketches that she'd been making and kind of bring them up?
We did
Not yet.
Awesome. But no, we mentioned that you did like kind of dabbled in vectors, and we also talked about how you start out as doing like a sketch for the basis of most of your art, but you have, as of recently, been uploading actual like final works of art as sketches, and one of my favorite of which is your piece called A Pencil Portrait to Octavia, and I love this piece. I think it's awesome.
Oh, that piece. Oh, I'm sorry. Someone's pointed out to me that the cello have don't have 5 strings, it has 4. And I was, what? Oh no.
Oh.
Okay, I don't know instruments. I don't know.
It's close enough.
Yeah, I think
In a pony universe, cellos have 5 strings.
yes.
My goodness.
It's
There
a
you go.
And in the
5-string
pony
cello.
in the pony universe, you can use a cello with hooves.
I used to play the cello, and I forgot that it had 4 strings, so I
don't know. That kind of hits me at the point of like, well, but look at how good it looks.
yeah, like if you're looking at this and not looking at Octavia, there's a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, unless you really love cellos for some reason.
I suppose.
The proportion on the bend of that cello was incorrect. I am furious.
Is this like hand sketched or is this kind of imitation sketch using GIMP?
No, it's hand with pencil.
Okay, that's cool. And then you just like scanned it in and posted it.
Yes.
Cool. It's so pretty. Love the eyes. You can tell a lot of artists have really unique style on their eyes. Like JJ has a very unique eye style, and then you in particular have a very unique eye style and eyelash style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, big eyelashes, big thick eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's adorable.
Yeah.
Really cute.
I actually noticed that in the last week's actual episode, Spike had the exact same eyelashes.
But they were manly. They didn't have.
Yeah, I was gonna say
thing.
Octavia's.
It didn't have the big spike, but it had like the thick and the spike at the end of it, like the
spike.
sharp,
Mhm.
pointy bit.
Yeah.
Square.
Interesting.
So another sketch that you did recently is called Discord.
Yes.
Pen Portrait - Discord. And this, I personally love this piece. This is phenomenal. And you did something with this that we kind of touched on when we went over some of, I think it was Joey Darkmeat's work, is where your outside line is a lot thicker than any of your inside lines, which is really, really cool.
Really makes it pop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been so long I did that pen sketch. Was so good doing it again. Nowadays I almost do everything digitally, so it was good to go back to traditional.
I love the crosshatch skating on it. It's crosshatch shading. It's fantastic.
There you go.
How they're going in different, like everything's going in little different directions and like showing angles on a lot of things. And I can even like see the different mediums of tools you use. Like it looks like you use like a Sharpie or something on the outside line, and then you use like finer point pens and like the lines in the inner part.
Yeah, I use it three different kind of pens. For the line art, I use it a Japanese writing pen.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and well, for the sketch, for the shading, I just use a simple 0.5 black pen, and I think I used a real white pen for the outlines.
Yeah. Looks awesome.
And for his eyes.
Yeah. His eyes really pop out.
Yeah, that little like really dark black outline. A lot of your eyes have. Makes him look discordly.
What?
What?
Discord-alicious. Horrific.
Hey,
I'm good words.
no one's done a Discord-licious.
I'm fairly. There has to be. Ever since the Twilight-licious thing, everybody's been doing every single one. So I wouldn't be surprised.
There is a Discord-licious. There is one, and there is a Discord-licious song.
Oh.
Okay.
And John Delancey did the voice it for it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember now.
Yeah.
I want to watch that again. Go watch that. It's awesome. Hashtag Discordlicious.
So do you have we mentioned at the very beginning here that you're a fan of our show, which is really awesome to have you on here. And I've noticed, there are different motivating factors for everyone in each of their pieces. But do you have any, other kind of outside motivations? Like, do you follow any other kind of fan works or, things like podcast or music? Is there other people that you follow?
Well, I don't really. I not really follow, but I sometimes check out some brony musicians and listen to their songs. A lot of my pieces is inspired by brony music, by the way. And
That's cool.
for podcast, I'm not really about your guys and and brony breakdown.
Yeah, very
And
cool.
Yep.
The last exit to Ponyville. I also listen to them. And for non-pony, I don't really. The Achievement Hunter, Minecraft Let's Plays, and that's all.
Great. But I did notice, like, you've done 3 or 4 different musician like portraits.
Brony musicians, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So
Mike the microphone is still in works.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Those are really cool. I feel like a lot of the brony musicians actually have some tremendously designed OCs, and so I'd love to see more work. Like, for example, just to bring one of them up, because I don't want to post all of them, but one of them was Glaze or Wooden Toasters OC. You did a great piece back in September. There should be more art of Glaze's OC because, man, his OC is fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah. I really like his OC. It's so good.
Yeah.
Originally, when you guys announced that fan art episode, I wanted to do 4 pieces of you guys in this style, in this brony portrait style. But then that idea I did in the end came in, and I did that. So originally you guys also would have this kind of portraits. Maybe I will do it. Spoiler.
Hey.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say we're pretty unanimous in our approval of that.
And our appreciation.
Sounds good to me.
I'm not worthy.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I know. Brendan would have 3 then. Are you kidding me? His head would explode.
I would probably die.
Oh no.
I'm going to bring up something because I want to.
Do it.
Okay.
I'm going to bring up this Cloud Chaser one, because it's best pony.
Piggy Dash with his random addition of the day.
Yeah.
I don't really have much to say about it except it's adorable, and I love Cloud Chaser.
Hey.
And I actually quite like the way that you do the eyebrows, so it makes how it sticks through their hair.
Those eyebrows.
Yes.
Them eyebrows.
Burn, you
I quite like it. You do it on a lot. I quite like it.
What?
Yeah.
Bernd, I know you was it you or was it someone else? Somebody who I know hates when they show the eyebrows through the hair.
Not me.
Okay.
No, not me either.
Well, someone we
It's
know
not me- it's
hates
not
it
me.
whenever the eye in this piece, for example. This is a good thing to bring up, but in this piece you can see the black of the eyeliner and the eyelashes and also the eyebrows and all of the stuff to do with the eye actually pokes through the hair, which I think it comes from a little bit of
Anime-esque.
anime-esque Japanese style.
Is that the inspiration for this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes,
I
it
mean
is.
I think it's really good. It's obviously not like everything. Not everyone should do it, but I think it's pretty good at showing like expressions, and it's good when you've got hair that obscures a lot of the
Yeah.
face. It's hard
Yeah,
to show
Talked about it a
expression.
little in one of our
Yes,
episodes.
Yeah, this is why I draw it, because most of the time the main hides it and I don't like it. I want to show the emotion fully, so this is why I draw it through the main. I know it's strange, but
Well, no,
I don't know.
I
Sounds
think
strange at
it's really cool because I mean it is derived from that whole anime style, and it's it's its own unique genre, and I like it.
Yeah. Just like you said, I mean, if you didn't, the hair would cover up all the detail, and you wouldn't know that she's doing this awesome eyebrow expression thing.
yeah.
Words are hard.
No, I like it. I do.
I like it too.
Oh
Yeah, this is a
Eyebrows.
really cute picture.
Well, unfortunately, we are running out of time,
No.
so we're going to have to wrap up soon. I know all of us probably want to have about 50 other pieces that we want to bring up. So I just wanted to leave it open for the last few minutes. Does anybody want to bring up something in particular? And now's the time.
Piggy Dash.
What?
Yeah, Pinky Dash, do you have anything? Oh,
No,
besides that.
go ahead. Go.
I like this piece. It's called Stuck Shy. Yeah, it's adorable. Fluttershy is so cute in this piece.
She's
stuck.
She's stuck.
She's stuck,
She is stuck.
and she's
It is adorable.
she's licking a nest.
I think
Do
it's
you
also
wanna-
really cool to see the like overlays and stuff, like the way that you did the kind of. Well, there's a lot of things in this piece that I actually really love, so I'm glad you brought it up. But I'll bring up one of them because I know Burn's probably going to get to the other one. So the one that I like is the fact that all the leaves are very quickly done.
Blotch.
So we've mentioned this a lot on the podcast, but you don't need to have that detail. You just need to do it quickly because your mind fills it in when you look at the center of the piece.
Also,
So I really like that.
something traditional of photography is like if you're looking at the focus of a piece, other things might seem out of focus or blurry. And since they're done really quick and they look a little bit blurry, it looks like they're right in your face. And if you just look at Fluttershy, they're kind of on the side of your peripherals and they look a little blurry and out of focus, like the leaves and bushes, tree in your face, blurry
Yeah.
out of focus.
Do you mean peripherals?
Words.
Peripherals,
You said peripherals?
Not peripherals?
Peripheralises?
Yeah, those.
Yeah.
Bern,
Yeah.
your pronunciation's gotten almost as bad as your spelling.
You shut your mouth. I do what I want. Do what I want.
Yeah, I usually don't work out the background and foreground really much, mostly the characters on it, because I usually concentrate on the character and I just want, usually there isn't a particular background, I just add to it, so it's not going to be white and all.
Yeah. Something that catches my eye about this piece is all the lighting on Fluttershy. You kind of take into account the fact that there's leaves there, like that she's in the leaves, so it's kind of like splotchy lighting on her, which is really cool.
Yeah.
It's actually Flutter Philly. So.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yes,
Philly
yes,
Fluttershy. Yeah.
it's Flutterfilly, yes.
Well, that's cool. Well, even like the little things like her hair is caught on the branch, so it does that little like extra flip upwards.
Floop.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Adorable.
Shading's really nice. I think it's pretty cool. So, well,
Mm.
It's pretty cool.
pretty cool.
So unfortunately,
This is the podcast.
this is nobody wants to end this podcast because you're
Oh
definitely
no,
one
there's
of
this
our
other
favorite
piece I wanted to bring up.
No, you're too late. It's too late. It's too late to apologize.
All right, instant remix of that. Go.
It's too late to apologize. It's too late. It's too late. It's too late to apologize. Dubstep,
That'll be fun in editing.
please.
That'll be fun. Hope you all enjoyed that Techno Remix by Burn No One.
Shut up. Hoshi, is there anything that you wanted to say, anything you wanted to bring up, or anything before we end this up?
Well, I don't know. Maybe just to say thank you for having me. It's really, you had so many awesome, really awesome artists like InuHoshi and Veggie, and to be here, it's why? I'm not that good. Why?
Yes, you are.
I think we would all beg to differ.
Yeah.
We love you right along with them. We do.
Yeah.
Oh,
What they said.
thank you.
So before we go into our plugs, is there anything that you would like to plug? I know you have your DeviantArt accounts, which are InuHoshi to DarkPen, and then I think you have just a regular InuHoshi DeviantArt account. But is there anywhere else that people can find you, or is that basically it?
Well, yeah, mostly it's that. I have two Templars too. One of them is DarkPen's workshop. Sometimes I send pictures there which don't end up on DeviantArt, but really rarely. And of course there is the YouTube account. So, mostly these.
Yep, those will be on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's everything. Unfortunately, we must end this episode.
Oh.
What we're going to ask people to do is we've got our favorites folder, obviously, which we're about to talk about in a second. But I would highly recommend checking out the original artists page and just going through everything, because I think you'll find just going through and browsing our gallery, you will find at least 10 or 12 pieces that you're going to really love. And, this is a rare treat. A lot of the times when we interview people like Egophiliac or say, who would be another example? But there's some people that we interview that don't necessarily have a lot of things in their DeviantArt account because they use other sites or they just haven't been updating or whatever, like Blitz Pony, for example.
Who has been updating?
Who has been
since
updating
then?
recently, which is great. But
Yeah, that's awesome.
InuHoshi, she does a great job of having just like, she has like 2 years worth of drawings, and there's like
Amazing art.
there's like 3 per week, and it's just, you could just go through there and just favorite. So I would highly recommend.
You could spend a whole day in there,
Absolutely.
basically.
So,
I don't know what's going to happen when college starts again. Definitely I will be less time to work on art, but I will try.
if you don't have at least 100 more watchers after this episode, I'm going to be severely disappointed in our fans. unless they were already watching you, in which case, good on them. Good on them.
You can be our friend.
All right. Well, Pinky Dash, do you want to get on to the plugs?
I can do that. Yep.
Sweet.
Okay, so we have a few things which you probably don't know about, but I'm going to say anyway. We have a DeviantArt account, which is cutieartcrusaders.deviantart.com. That's where you can have a look at all the stuff that we featured on previous episodes, as well as stuff from episodes that we have done that we can't show everything that we've wanted to show. So, for example, there's also some new fan art in there, which is pretty cool if you want to see more of us. Because,
I don't know why you would.
us talking about ourselves isn't, enough as it is. Yeah, so there's more of that. There is more stuff from InuHoshi that we couldn't show. There is stuff from all our previous guests that we just couldn't show, previous episodes, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, just go there and see it. You can also see their previous guests that we've interviewed and the links to their interviews. What else we got? Email, which is cutieartcrusaders at gmail.com, all one word. If you have anything that you want us to have a look at or anything that you feel like we should show on previous episodes, so if we mention an upcoming theme and you find something that seems to match that theme, let us know and we can have a look at it and maybe put it on the show. Also, if you have any questions, please send them in because I'm running low as per usual. We go through 3, 4 an episode and I get maybe 1 or 2 a week. So do the math. We're going to run out very soon. Please send some more in. I don't like making them up because they're useless questions. That's it. Somebody want to do the social media side of it?
Sure. We have a Facebook account, which is facebook.com/Cutie Art Crusaders. And there you can go to basically just figure out when our episodes are going to be on. You can go there and like us. We have over 100 likes, which is pretty awesome. And we have a Twitter account, which is @Cutie Art Crusade. And you can find up-to-the-minute information there, like if we're having technical difficulties or anything like that. So, Rainbow Plasma, do you want to talk a bit about the OC episode?
Sure, we'll throw this in at the end. We're having an OC episode upcoming. It's coming up in 3 weeks, I think. Something along those lines. And the reason why I can be so vague in that is because we've got a journal on DeviantArt, and I'm going to request, Bernd, if you could just put that in the description
By all means.
of the YouTube video, and we'll also try to post it. But basically, if you can't find the link, just go to our DeviantArt, head over to our journals, and there you're going to find something called OC episode guidelines rules, something along those lines. And go there, and I want you to read all the rules, and I want you to, have the submission guidelines and everything. So if you want to send us in pictures of your OC that you've drawn for our OC episode, we would love to have some people featured on the show. And so that's where you can go to send in some stuff.
Draw it. No Pony Creator.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
No Pony Creator, but we've got all the details in that journal. So for that upcoming episode, make sure you guys submit some stuff for that if you want to. The deadline is coming up in
2 weeks?
3
2.5?
weeks.
3 weeks.
Because here
The
at Cutie
deadline's
Art
in 3 weeks.
Crusaders, we want you on our show.
Yeah, we would love to have
Yes.
you guys on the show. So yeah.
Yeah, you guys are amazing.
Well, maybe you would.
And who knows, you could end up on the show like InuHoshi. That is not a promise. My goodness.
You might want to.
We're just going to have
well-
an episode where we have everyone on the show. Skype call, 20 people. It's
Oh
gonna happen.
no!
Oh my goodness.
You would
200
be editing
people
that
Skype call.
episode.
Who edits? Okay.
That'd be our only live show.
Just put it up unedited. That'd be great.
Yeah.
That would
All
be
right,
really
well,
fun if we could just get a bunch of people on a Skype call and just get them all to yell like Cutie Art Crusaders.
No, that's not fun.
No,
do it.
Just
No.
Yeah.
Burn, this is why you don't organize things, because that's an awful idea.
But he organizes the guests. He organized today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
but
Yes,
he's
and
organizing
this is
one
awesome.
person then. Please
the
don't
power.
organize 8 guests in 1 week.
I was thinking
Now
about
I'm
80.
afraid you're going to do that.
I'm not afraid in the slightest. I want him to do that.
It's because you're chaotic.
before
I
this
don't
gets
have
out
to
of
edit.
hand.
It's because you're like the Joker of the Cutie Art Crusaders.
Everyone draws me as the Joker.
Why so
It's great.
serious, Rainbow Plasma?
Lol.
Yeah.
I'm like a dog. I
Did you say lol?
I did just say
chase
lol.
cars.
I just really like bumpers.
I wouldn't know what to do with one if I got it. And on that horrible Joker
Anyhow.
impression, let's end this show. So thank you guys for watching, whether or not you're on YouTube or the live stream. We love you all the same. Thank you, InuHoshi, for coming on. You're a fantastic guest and a fantastic artist.
Yes, thank you so much.
Indeed, quite.
It was a pleasure.
I hope you had fun.
Great. Yes, it was. I'm sorry, I'm not really much of a talkative person.
Oh, no, you did great. Trust us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Also, we've got 2 other talkative people, so don't worry about it. We do a pretty good job
Myself.
ourselves.
Woo!
Is it me?
All right.
Pinky Dash.
No, it's
Pinky
me.
Dash, stop talking.
Yeah, Pinky Dash needs to. We need to cut you down.
I need to shut up.
Yeah, occasionally. All right. Thank you guys for watching. And my name is Rainbow Plasma.
Number no one.
I'm Flutterguy317.
I'm Pinky Dash.
And I'm InuHoshi.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
All right.
Bye all. Those.
Yeah, right. Well, since we're talking about things that
Should we just
happen
get
to-
all of like the schmoozy stuff out of the way first?
Yeah. Well,
Hold on.
No, go
Hold
ahead.
on. Wait. We have a custom for guests on the show that we just kind of forewent or for.
I tried to sneak around it.
I know. Do you want to do it or?
Go ahead.
Okay. So InuHoshi, we have this tradition with having guests on, which is basically when we introduce the guest, to kind of give a little introduction of like what you do, a little bit about yourself for anyone who doesn't know who you are or who hasn't seen your art yet.
Well, at the moment I'm in college learning animation, and the truth is I would like to say I do pony art because for artistic things, but in truth I do it because I really love drawing ponies. So I don't feel myself an artist. Even if I spent 5 years in an art school, I don't feel myself as an artist. I just love drawing. That's all.
That's fair enough.
I think a lot of us artists do it for the same reason. It's for the ponies.
It's for the fun of
Just
it.
for the pony.
I think to do anything, you have to be passionate about it. I mean, if you love drawing ponies, it's kind of like a self-pronounced artist. It's like you can be an artist without having to say that you're an artist just because you can draw beautiful ponies. There's a lot of people who are really jealous of your ability to draw pretty ponies. And I myself
I'm jealous.
am included, in which I could draw ponies as beautifully as you could.
They are very pretty.
You are a far
ponies.
better artist than I.
Yeah, it just happened like it happened normally for other shows. If I like it, I did a fan art for it, and it became really huge. And this is why I made the second account. And here I am, nothing big. Probably
Making
a
beautiful
lot of
ponies.
yes, probably a lot of my other watchers who watch me on the other accent are shouting, why I'm doing ponies. I shouldn't do them. Why? But I always been. I don't draw if I don't like it. So if I like drawing ponies, I draw ponies. And maybe 1 year later, I'm going to do something other. Maybe I'm going to draw dinosaurs. I don't know.
Hello,
hear
and
my
welcome
mask?
to episode 32 of the Cutie Art Crusaders for February 5th, 2013. You interrupted me halfway through that intro, didn't you? I don't care! We're continuing!
You just kind of started talking at the same time that I did. So
No. We're going to keep going with this because that's how we do it here at Professionalville. All right, so thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the podcast.
Do you plan on going there at some stage, or?
We're professional. We're professional at this work. So welcome to the podcast. Thank you guys for coming back. Last week was a lot of fun. We had Cosmic Unicorn on. She was very, very informative, and we thought,
Super awesome.
Oh, was she? I couldn't hear a lot of it.
Yes.
what?
Aw.
Because of your poor internets.
Yeah, you had the robot voice last week. We'll talk about that and your new microphone in just a second. But before we start, I'd like to introduce ourselves. So, my name is Rainbow Plasma. I'm the organizer and editor of this podcast, and today I'm joined by...
Burn to One and the special guest coordinator and sometimes the guy who shoves the videos together.
Like this week.
Yeah, like this week.
Nice. I'm Flutterguy317, and I'm the art coordinator.
And I'm Pinky Dash. I do questions, etc.
So, Pinky Dash actually has a new microphone this week, which is glorious.
Yay!
Because,
Yay.
fun little fact, we could hear him in Skype perfectly fine, but you were getting a lot of electrical interference and background noise and a bunch of different stuff
His voice sounded like crap.
in your actual recordings. Right.
That's why I always sounded like a 14-year-old boy.
No.
It sounded like Sweetie Bot, to be honest.
It sounded like you were like in a fishbowl with like a paper towel roll, like talking through that. It was bad.
And the best part
What
is
kind
like
of an invention are you making?
his mic used to spike random intervals, and like you've probably heard it if you've listened to our episodes where he'd just be talking and be like, "Mrrr," just a super loud, obnoxious hum in the background.
I'm sorry. How did I sound?
Awful. That's how you sounded. But
It's not what I was hoping
even
for.
like, I think 3 episodes ago, like I had to splice your audio in, whereas like you would talk and there'd be that horrible hum in the background. So randomly when you
In the future.
well, talking a little bit more about your adorable ponies, As far as your art style goes and the ponies that you draw, you have a very unique style about the ponies you draw. I mean,
They're so fuzzy.
They look... Yes, that is one of the most notable parts, is they're extraordinarily fuzzy and like every little hinge on their body. And they're also quite horsey. They look a little bit more realistic than your average pony. Because the ponies in the show, they're just like worms with legs. But there's actually like fluffiness and volume, and like you show the collarbones and stuff in the horses. Like, how did you develop that style? Is it just something you've always been doing, or something you like?
Well, it's kind of always been there. I always been adding a little bit realistic to my drawings. Probably because of the artist I watched over DeviantArt. If I like it something, I add it to my drawing, and it just turned out like that. And with ponies, I always been trying to make them cartoonish, but some way horse-like, because I think we can all agree that our ponies not look so much like ponies.
I'm glad, to be honest with you. I just watched a show on horses today, and it was just like,
Horses scare me.
maybe not.
I was Plasma, I was going to send you a photo of a horse today, or yesterday.
Please don't. I'm not a huge fan.
There was horses where I was working, so I was going to take a photo and send you one.
Man, random awkward story. What is it? Someone saw my brony belt. I forget what the girl's name was, but I think I was working, and she's like, "Oh, you like ponies?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, totally." She's like, "Oh, I love horses. I go horse riding all the time." And I was like, "Eee."
So not the same thing.
Oh man, that was a fun conversation. Anyway,
So InuHoshi,
Cool story,
how
bro.
long have you been drawing for? Have you just been drawing your entire life? Because now you're going to college for animation, which obviously has a lot of artistic background in it. But have you just been drawing your entire life?
Ever since I know myself, I've been drawing like crazy every day. Even if it's been just a line or cycle, I draw every day. And even today, if I can draw just a sketch, even if it's just a sketch, I can draw it. I kind of go depressed. It feels like something's missing. Even if I have just an art block, and that is why I can draw, I just felt something natural.
Did we really?
That joke is so
You're saying
old
people have-
that it's died.
You saying people haven't heard of that?
You're beating a dead horse. Okay.
a pony. Or
No,
ponies.
don't say pony. No.
What, so we can beat horses because no one likes
Yeah.
them, but when it's ponies, everyone's like, "Oh,
Absolutely. Yep.
Right, sorry.
Anyway, so we had a
That
couple
was
fan art
that was a
episodes.
brony no-go there.
And one of the most fantastic pieces that we got in was something by the name of Quest for Cutie Arts by none other than our guest here. And it's personally one of my favorite pieces. It's my computer background, and this is one of the pieces that got on EQD. And I think this was the piece where we kind of looked at our fan art. This was the first like huge one that we got, and we went, "Holy cow! What have we gotten ourselves into here?" because getting a couple pieces of fan art is one thing, but then like after this piece, it just rolled in like crazy.
And then after this piece, we had enough content to make 2 episodes.
Yeah, it was just crazy.
Yeah.
So
and I mean, I personally have been a big fan of you, InuHoshi, before seeing this piece, and then when we got this piece, it was just like, what?
Yeah, me too.
well, I'm really glad that you made this piece actually, because I'd never actually heard of you before. I'd seen there was actually one piece that I wanted to bring up as well because it has to do with Pinky Dash, but I saw one of your pieces, Colorless Rainbow, that Pinky Dash, you vectored it, right?
I did.
Yeah, so you did a vector version of that, but I'd seen that a while ago, but I hadn't actually. That was back when I wasn't really into. That was like way before, like right when it was just put out in July. So I wasn't really like into following a lot of artists. I was just doing my vector work. So I didn't notice that you were the artist. And looking back on it now, it's just like top notch. So I'm glad you sent in that. I'm glad you sent in the fan art because it's like I get to go back and look at tons of amazing pony pieces.
Well, it was really fun to make that fan art. I really love it making it. Probably that's the only drawing guy working on like crazy. More than, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 hours. I did in more than around 4 or 5 days.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Sheesh.
How long
And
is
Well, that's beautiful.
Yes.
And it was a great experience. I tried out a lot of new things I never did before, so it was really great.
No,
It all worked
wonderful.
out amazingly.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's because we're in it, honestly.
Oh yeah.
We're so biased, it's ridiculous.
I mean, just look at those wings. Like, how could you not love them?
Like chime in, like
Yeah, it's bad.
It is bad.
Or should we say it was bad? Because hopefully this week, I don't know. For all I know, Pinky Dash could send it to Burned, and he'd be like, "No, it's still awful.
Even worse.
It's just Australia." But hopefully that's fixed now.
Perhaps it was just me making those noises. You're just like sitting there going,
It's a talent.
You've got a guy playing a didgeridoo in the background or something.
yeah, that's
That's
kind of what happens a lot. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I love Australian jokes.
So, anyways, hopefully that audio should be better. And that's one half of the problem solved. The other half is you need to talk more about whatever. that's a story for
Well,
another
fun
day.
then. I'll just like be quiet now.
Cool.
I just won't talk. Bye.
I
Have
think you
fun.
should just
Enjoy
I think
the
you should run the
recording.
I've
podcast.
hurt his feelings again. Go hug a koala. You'll feel better.
I'll hug my plushie.
Yeah.
What did we say? The next thing has to be wombat, okay? Wombat.
Wombats?
There we go.
Right. Go hug a wombat.
Have we ever joked about platypuses
Oh,
on
yeah,
the
you-
show?
Probably.
Those live in Australia, don't they?
Probably once.
So 3 minutes into this podcast, and we've gotten nowhere. It's about typical, I think. We're actually making good time. So this week, we've actually got something really special for you guys that we kind of threw together kind of last minute. We didn't have a theme for this week that we announced, and that's because we have a very special guest this week, someone that we're very excited to have on the podcast for more than one reason. So, Bern, do you want to introduce her?
I would love to. This week on the podcast, we have a lovely artist who's actually made us some of the most amazing fan art ever, and is also one of the most amazing artists ever. Yeah. This week on the podcast, we have InuHoshi to DarkPen. Go ahead and say hi.
Hello. Hi.
Hi there.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us on the show. It's awesome to have you here. We appreciate it, especially on such short notice. I think I just sent you a message this week. So
And I'm really, really happy to be here, guys, and talk to you.
Oh, that's very, that's very
I'm
nice.
just giggle here like a little schoolgirl. Because really can't believe I'm here.
well, it's a pleasure.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We're literally just four idiots who have a show.
Oh,
That's right. We can't believe we're here either.
oh, don't say that.
Yeah. We are really honored to have you on. Your art is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so now that we've gotten through our customary gush session where we both like kiss each other's feet, I just wanted to explain to people who probably don't know about you just a little bit about how you're connected to the podcast and things like that. So we had a fan art episode back on January 1st, and
Wait, did